So we come together before you on this day, March 30th, 2015, with one voice in unity, in the hopes that today will be another one of those moments in time, a moment that will forever change the course of music history. For today, we announce the launch of Tidal, the first ever artist-owned global music and entertainment platform. Yes! Yes! Our goal is simple. We want to create a better service and a better experience for both fans and artists, and that is our promise to the world.
Linear TV has been dominant for 50 years. And the problem with linear TV is the channel owner decides what you can watch and where you can watch it and when you can watch it. And so the advantage of internet TV, which is really just beginning, is power goes to the consumer. The individual gets to choose. Many changes that will come over the next several years as Netflix grows is to provide storytellers with new kinds of ideas and new platforms to be able to share their vision and their story. A simple example is today, if you create TV show episodic, everything's got to have ad breaks, everything's got to be 22 minutes. With Netflix, we can change all of that.
The big hard challenges over the next 5 and 10 years are getting more global and getting more into original content. So we're working on both of those. So linear TV as we know it will be as much of a relic in 20 years as the fixed line telephone.
My view, as I said before, is that I think over the next 5 years, almost every major product vertical is going to get rethought to be social. Get on the bus. The two that I'd focus on right now that I just really try to hammer home every day are move fast and be bold, right, and take risks. But the bottom line that we found was that you make something social, and that kind of rethinks the whole space. Right? A social version of anything can almost always be much more engaging and outperform a non-social version. So, I don't know, I think if anything, the Facebook story is a great example of how if you're building a product that people love, you can make a lot of mistakes.
Nice. Content. Clearly we're in the cable business, and that's the vast majority of what we do, and content's increasingly important to us. Content's incredibly important to our consumers. So I think we're all in the content business, whether we like to be or not. And
everybody should have the same freedoms and protection online as they do offline. They should enjoy full confidence that private data is protected and secure.
It's so easy to add, it's hard to edit, it's hard to stay focused. And yet we know we'll only do our best work if we stay focused. And so, you know, the hardest decisions we make are all the things not to work on, frankly. Well, TV is one that we continue to have great interest in. So I choose my words carefully there. But, you know, TV is one of those things that, if we're really honest, it's stuck back in the 70s.
And so this is an area of intense interest for us.
Every event? So this is how I see broadcasting networks. Broadcasting networks are a very professional teams that's supposed to develop, execute, and frame content to large audience. It has nothing to do with the infrastructure or the screen is going to be. And I think that's the way that we think about it. And you know, we've seen CNBC using Meerkat and CNN using Meerkat. It also challenged the concept of what is content. What is a content when I can change it in real time? What is an interview with a president means when 30,000 people are here and they're asking questions?
Oh my God!
Right? I think that we can take it to very interesting places.
Second, right? So data is the new oil. That's your money. All the data that people are sharing, producing, generating, is worth more money than oil was for a long time. We were, of course, in an oil-driven economy. Now we're in a data-driven economy. I think the money is in the data. Ask Google, right? $2.9 billion a month made with free stuff through data. The marketing manager of Coke says it's a revelation to discover that from the 150 million views that they had on YouTube, only 25 to 30 million were actually caused by them. All the other videos and stuff were done through users. Right? The users make the data, and the users, of course, are the data.
Okay, my favorite one of these conversations was when the comedian Sarah Silverman tweeted, when your family is really bugging you, just pretend you're in a Woody Allen movie. And Mia Farrow responded, I tried that, it didn't work. So this is a visualization our engineers did inside Twitter of the minutes after the earthquake and ensuing tsunami in Fukushima, Japan. Minutes, if not sooner, in the aftermath of the earthquake and tsunami, the entire world knew about it and was communicating back to people in Japan. Not only were people in Japan communicating to each other, but the communication was global within seconds and minutes of the disaster. That's incredibly powerful and makes Twitter a super important communication lifeline after emergencies like this. So one of the things we're doing is working directly with the government of Japan to create this, we call it this Lifeline project, to enable Twitter to be a communications lifeline in cases of emergency like this, because it's the fastest and most efficient way to distribute your news of your personal situation as quickly as possible. And we're doing things like making sure there are lists of government agencies that are already on the platform that people can follow in cases of emergency, and making sure that the government agencies know which hashtags they're going to use to communicate things like where power is on and where it's out, when the railways are running and when they aren't, on and on and on, right? So instantaneously, in the event of a disaster, the government of Japan has a mechanism they can bring up on Twitter to communicate with people and allow those people to communicate with each other.
Video service Vessel launches in beta for consumers who've requested an invite, this as it slowly rolls out wide. Now the service, which targets 14 to 24-year-olds, features premium video from YouTube stars and popular YouTube channels like Tastemade, as well as media brands like Sports Illustrated and History Channel, as well as individuals such as Alec Baldwin. Now unlike Vimeo, which sells content on demand, Vessel has an ad and subscription model. The app has a new 5-second long ad format and enables users to browse while they are watching videos, and it features a range of new categories to make it easier to discover curated content, which Kyler says is really different.
Certainly the user interface and the technology and the software, it's very, very differentiated, first and foremost. Second is the content that you'll see there will be showing up on Vessel before it shows up anywhere else. And so this is a fan service. This is where people who are passionate about content go to watch that content first.
And while there is a free ad-supported version, Kyler expects most people to pay $3 a month for exclusive early access to videos before they're posted elsewhere. Kyler says paying creators more will secure better content and lure subscribers.
70% of all advertising goes back to the video creator, and subscription dollars go back to the video creator as well. So to give you a comparison, on the free web, a video creator typically earns about $3 per 1,000 views. On Vessel, we project that they will make over $50 per 1,000 views.
Kyler says he's not trying to eat YouTube's lunch, that both it and Vessel can thrive. But as YouTube plans more subscription content, there's no question Vessel is taking on the video giant.
The scope and scale of video online is much larger than people appreciate. What is the content of the internet? Turns out it's video. What's the #1 source of video online? Netflix. Interesting. Now, if you'd asked me 10 years ago, is there any scenario where people will use the internet to watch the equivalent of movies? I'd say, you've got to be kidding. It's a terrible use of the internet. And I can give you a long list of reasons why I'm right. But the society has proven that I'm wrong.
Eric Schmidt, Google's executive chairman, made an interesting statement that is raising a few eyebrows. Take a listen.
I would answer very simply that the internet will disappear. The internet will be, there'll be so many IP addresses because of IPv6 so many devices, sensors, things that you're wearing, things that you're interacting with, that you won't even sense it. It'll be part of your presence all the time.
The way to think about search is to think that search is imperfect because it gives you a lot of choices. We would like to be able to give you the one answer that's correct. And so if, and again, you have to opt in, and this is all voluntary and all that kind of stuff, the more information that you tell us about yourself, the more accurate the result can be. The next generation of search will be much more targeted at you, and in fact, we may be able to get to the point where we suggest what you should be searching for. So let's look at Apple and Google, for example. Think of these as two countries, right? So in the old high-tech way, one would dominate the other one would disappear fairly quickly. But it's much more likely that each country, which has its own religion and its own incompatible view of the other, is going to have to put up with the other.
Do you think there'll be a magical journalism device that will make all of us at The Economist redundant, and you will produce the Google version of The Economist make?
What's interesting about technology is that we do a pretty good job of catching up to the basics, and we don't do a very good job of genius, right? So if you take a look at Google News, many of you use Google News, it does a pretty good job of assembling the obvious stuff, but it doesn't have a lot of insight. So the role of journalists, in my view, is going to be the role of insight, and it's going to be a long time. So here's an example. We had a project inside of Google to write things, and I suggested, by the way, that you could have it write a paper, and then you could have it recursively add 7%, and then you could add another 7%. So it would sort of produce infinitely long papers. And what it did is it sort of looked mechanically at all this information and assembled it based on these things. And it did a pretty good job of a bad author. But if you read it and you have a good author, you can see the difference. That's, I think, where we are. It may be that 50 years from now, the systems will be so powerful that they can replicate the kind of special insight that journalists and reporters and people who are practitioners have, but it'll be a long time.